Hello,
And
everyone. Welcome back to the Eternal Tournament series. My name is Pojo, and I'm here with Paradox.
hello, everyone. Sorry about that. We are here for another game with, I believe, Mouche versus IlyaK. Mouche, once again, we just saw him just a second ago on TJP with Ilya on Rally Queen. Uh, Pojo, what do you think of this matchup?
This is going to be an interesting one. Ilya is playing the hyperist of hyper aggro decks. He's actually playing Token Queen with Grenadin drones and assembly line. He's trying very, very hard to push through all of the sort of late game decks in the list and get that sort of like the early wins, the easy wins, get himself into the top 8 bracket by basically just stomping on everyone who's not prepared for aggro. Mouche, on the other hand, has the Comrade Party list. He has the ability to sort of deal with some of the early threats with cards like Knight Chancellor Seraph and Kothan. He has Desert Marshals and Awakened Students in the early game as well, so there's a reasonable amount that he can play. He does not have anything that's particularly great against Queen, like those Lightning Storms, but he might be able to sort of pull a little bit more together. And I think his sideboard is actually kind of poorly suited against the Rally Queen deck. However,
Yeah,
Mouche is currently 3-0 in the bracket, and Ilya is down 0-3. So Mouche actually has a pretty good chance of maybe, if Ilya continues to, if Ilya's on tilt, then this is going to be an easier game for Mouche than expected.
yeah. Wow, this is the first place list in this round robin versus the last place list. I do agree that if Ilya can get the just those really bonkers hands and just go off, I think without a doubt he'll be able to take this one. But if there's any deck that can that is going to be well suited to stop Rally Queen, I think it's going to be TJP, assuming it's able to set up even at all. It should be able to hold back almost all that damage and just build up essentially just a sort of a Combray aggro style board that is just a nightmare for a bunch of Stone Scar units to try and get through.
Should be a relatively fair matchup in the first couple of rounds, or in the first round. I'm a little worried about Mouche's sideboards. He's basically got Permafrost against aggro, and beyond that, there's not a lot. There's 2 protects, there's 2 backlashes. It's not quite what you want against sort of the Rally Queen base deck. But if he can get some early drops down, play them out, play the Awakened Student early, and just basically get himself into a situation where he's got a lot of blockers very, very early on, I think he's going to be in much better shape.
Yeah, I agree. Permafrost definitely looked really bad against the field of Grenadins, but it will be able to stop some of the bigger things. Mouche able to get a turn 1 play with the Initiate of the Sands, followed by the Awakened Student. Not able to get the power, but still a pretty good start for him.
Ilya, in the meantime, filling the board with lots and lots of very, very aggressive units. His potential to sort of just spiral the game with a Bandit Queen or a Rally is quite good. Mouche is going to be playing a blocker every turn, and that's really what he wants to be doing, especially with the Awakened Student sort of buffing things up.
Yep. Ilya going
we see
into
it
the
full
first
on
attack, and he does have a Rally in hand, and he's my guess is that he's just going to play this and just try and take out as many blockers as he can. Otherwise, he's kind of dead with just only a bunch of power. Though he did actually rip the Shadowlands guy to bring back a blocker or an attacker if he chooses to do so.
I like this block choice from Mouche. He gets rid of the Ruthless Stranger, which is a pretty scary card. He sacrifices his Kothan on the altar of just like basically getting everything set up. But now that he's got the Valkyrie Enforcer and the Crystallize, I think he's looking a lot better. He did take 9, but the 4/4 is a really solid blocker here.
Yeah, if Mouche is able to get the other primal that he needs for Crystallize, that's actually just a one-sided board wipe against all these 1 health units.
As an extremely powerful card here, and it's going to be one of the ones that Ilya has the most problems with dealing with. Not only does it allow Mouche to sort of fire back in terms of being aggressive, it also means that like he's just going to be really, really solid on defense as well. Ilya throwing a torch gets 3 damage in. Pretty easy setup there, and with a Shadowlands Guide, he gets to pick up yet another unit, but this is just ripe for the Crystallize. Ruthless Stranger coming up. That is all of Ilya's hand, so Mouche is going to just Crystallize here, clear the board, follow it up with a Scouting Party, and that might be curtains. He
misses the second primal. He can't Crystallize just yet.
That's true. So Ilya, if he can pick up enough damage, is going to be in much better shape. Mouche needs that double blue, and this is sort of the risk with the Combray lists. We've talked a little bit about how these decks are somewhat swingy. They have a lot of difficulty getting all of their influence and all of their cards together in the right order. Ilya has a Suffocate here. That's not going to help him at all. The Rapid Shot, however,
picks up the Rapid Shot.
He's going
But
to
that's
trigger Island's Choice, yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say that Dead Eileen's Choice in hand actually finally becomes active, which is a really great hit for Mouche.
5. Valkyrie and Force are going to help him out a little bit, but he's still in some trouble. He's got to be basically has to make sure that he doesn't get into torch range because that's IlyaK's big push through. Suffocate is going to get him exactly there. That happens, it's real hard to come back. Mouche might be able to get a scouting party out here, follow it up with a Crystallize, and then just sort of draw into the game. But IlyaK now has some really good top decks to get him out of it. A Rapid Shot will do it. Basically, anything where he can effectively create a bad situation for Mouche is going to be quite bad.
Mm-hmm. IlyaK doesn't look like he's picking it up there. He's sitting there in the tank. Picking up a Kothon and while still sitting on the scouting party. Both of these are pretty decent for him. And he's going to need to find a way to just close out this game as fast as possible.
Yeah, I like this swing. Get the damage in and scouting party.
And the scouting party. Give him plenty of blockers. At this point, he doesn't care whether he loses them or not. He just needs to make sure he can win and not die beforehand.
Yeah. IlyaK with a Suffocate, getting rid of 1 unit. That'll mean that there isn't going to be a second scouting party until the first one's through. But with this attack, I think he's going to be able to probably draw the power he needs to play the scouting party, or at least the blue influence. This is a little tricky. If he draws 4 cards, does not get a power, then he's in a lot of trouble. And he's actually leaving 1 blocker back with that in mind.
Yeah, this is a really interesting attack from Mouche. He's being brave here, but not going all out. Oh, he does find the power, which is a huge pickup for him. Yeah, and it's a primal power.
Second scouting party means that he's going to have plenty of blockers and an obelisk next turn. So he's literally on torch or die for IlyaK. I think there's no other way for IlyaK to take this game. He just has to top deck the torch. And if he doesn't get it, that's going to be game.
Yeah, there is no obliterates in IlyaK's deck, so he's going to have to just be staring at a unit or a power right now. And he finds a Rapid Shot. And that's definitely not going to help him. It looks like Mouche is actually going to clean this up.
He can Crystallize if he needs to, but this attack seems fine. Enough damage to kill him. He might have given him an extra turn.
Oh, yeah, he opted not to play Xenon Obelisk. That actually could get him punished here.
In trouble here. He has, he's giving IlyaK another chance to torch. I don't like this play from Mouche at all. I think that there's a good chance that IlyaK can actually draw out now. We see Seed of Progress into a Kothon, and then a Night Chancellor Seraph to follow. He's got no backlash. He has no sort of answer to torch. So if IlyaK draws a torch, it's all Mouche's fault. But I think he drew a Seed of Chaos, and that's going to be game.
Okay, that's going to be game. Very close by Mouche, though. He almost could have lost that. I think he just needed to just be a little bit better with his counting, because either of his cards would have gotten him lethal there. The Obelisk or the Crystallize.
Yeah, looks like overall it went just fine.
Yes, now we know that Mouche doesn't really have a ton of sideboard options here, but IlyaK, on the other hand, I don't... Let me see. Let me just bring this up real quick. I actually don't think he has a ton of options either.
Yeah, he's going to bring in the Sabotages and the Suffocates, and those are going to be very, very effective early game. The Madnesses can allow him to pick up sort of big units and really get like a lot of push across against cards like Sandstorm Titan. But I think that overall what he's mostly looking for here is just basically continuing to spread the board wider. He can go for the Shadowlands Guides if he feels like it. I think he's got a lot of ways to sort of basically lower the curve even further. But beyond that, like, it's hard to say exactly what's going to be best. Cinder Yeti's not an amazing card for him here because a lot of what Mouche is doing is not blocking with big units, but blocking with a wide board.
Yes. I can't imagine that IlyaK brings in the last Cinder Yeti there. And the Shadowlands Guide does not look particularly good for him either, just because at the very best, Mouche brings in more permafrost, which the Shadowlands Guide is not going to help out there. He might bring in the Madnesses to be able to try and take a Sandstorm Titan or a very large Awakened student, but otherwise, yeah, he doesn't have a lot of tools here. The Annihilates do almost nothing towards Mouche's deck, and he's going to have to just hope to kind of just quickly close out 2 more games with some really good draws.
Sabotages are probably going to be his best play. That's a really good card against Company Party because you can hit the Crystallizes or the Scouting Parties, and if you can do that, then it's going to make it a lot harder for those games to proceed. But Yeah, it's going to be sort of tough to see exactly what happens here. Neither deck has an amazing side against the other. Both are taking in only like 2 to 3 cards, but enough of an influence on the game that this will be a little bit different than last time.
Yeah, Mouche in a little bit of a tough spot now as we're looking at our first turns of the game. He has to choose between Justice and Primal with that diplomatic seal, because otherwise he's only got 2 time sigils. I imagine that he takes the Justice here so that he can play the cards that he has in hand, but he's definitely in an awkward spot if he draws any Primal cards now.
Consider whether or not he wants to play Desert Marshal immediately to prevent the war cry. It's not going to be a big deal if IlyaK's units get a little bit bigger, since for the most part, like, he doesn't care how large these units are.
Yeah, opts for the post combat or the post attackers to go ahead and silence the stranger, make him just a little measly 1/1, and then take out the Oni Ronin. And IlyaK doesn't have a follow up after that, so Mouche with a really good pickup off the Seek Power, likely going to find his opts not to play it actually. Very interesting.
I like this play a little bit. He's going to wait to see if he can draw the green before he decides to pick green or blue. And if he can pick up a green or a blue, then he knows exactly what he needs. Mm-hmm. And here he can Seek Power, play an Island's Choice. That's not that good for him. I think he's just going to go straight for the Sandstorm Titan.
And IlyaK actually did bring in Annihilates.
Very good card against Sandstorm Titan, and Sandstorm Titan is a hard card to get around. We have 6 damage here, so IlyaK is representing with exactly what he needs. Seraph means that Mouche has a reasonable play, but it's going to be really tough to say whether or not he goes for green or blue here.
Yeah, he's really kind of stuck, and he opts to go for the Justice Sigil, which is going to lock out his Eileen's Choice as well as any other Primal cards that he draws here. And I like this Valkyrie Enforcer first, knowing that the Seraph is the higher card, and he's just going to try and get what he can out of the Seraph. Oh, but that is a big pickup with the Argent Port Instigator at 5/5.
Yeah, Suffocate kills the Valkyrie Enforcer. That does mean that Seraph's going to stick it out a little bit longer, but at this point, Mouche has Island's Choice against the 5/5. He has Seraph against the lower end. Trouble here. He's going to have to Seek Power for blue to get his Island's Choice out, and then once that happens, he's still going to take 6. If he goes for the Seraph, then there's a chance that that gets killed and he just loses. So there's not a lot of good options here.
Yeah, I think that pickup of the 5/5 Instigator, as with having the Rapid Shot in the back of his hand, is pretty much going to mean the game for Mouche. IlyaK is going to be able to probably take this one here. He's in the tank right now, thinking about whether he wants to play the Valkyrie Enforcer or the Seraph, but neither option is going to help him out very much at all right now.
Could get into a situation where IlyaK makes a mistake, plays the Rapid Shot on the 5/5, so definitely like playing the blue here is the correct option, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I think it's going to be just attack in, get the 10 damage, Rapid Shot for the remaining, and then the Island's Choice solves one problem, but he's still pretty low.
Yeah, and now IlyaK looks like he's opting to use the Rapid Shot or releases in the tank about it. And he does go for it, which I really like that play. Just throw out the extra damage. You might as well just get him as low as possible instead of waiting for a unit to come down. And that puts him down to 1 health.
And with another unit on board, there's no way that Mouche can solve this. He needs a Scouting Party, he doesn't have it. He needs a Crystallize, he doesn't have it. So that'll be game 2 against Mouche, and we're going to see if he can pull it out for game 3.
Yeah, very quick game 2. I do have to say, maybe this is just me, but I do think it was interesting that he decided to bring in the Annihilate, since they have such a high chance of being dead against a lot of his cards. They do hit Sandstorm Titans and the Valkyrie Forces, which is nice, but otherwise they have a really high chance of not being super effective there. Do you have any thoughts on that, Pojo?
It's really easy to whiff them, but at the same time, the answer to Sandstorm Titans right now is just Rapid Shot. And if you're bringing in the side just to deal with Sandstorm Titan, I think that's an acceptable play. The Annihilates will still play against like some small tokens, like Scouting Party tokens. They'll still play against Valkyrie Enforcers, which are definitely going to be staying in the deck. Like, there's definitely a decent chance that he's going to be able to hit something small with them and get in for a little bit extra damage. But it is not the greatest card against the Combat Party list, I will agree.
Yes. Looks like his first game is starting. Mouche has a little bit of an awkward hand with no units, but does have a handful of late game plays if he's able to get things going. The second Island's Choice, it's actually interesting that he brought in the second Island's Choice here. Um, I, I'm not really sure why he was bringing that in. Hopefully just to stop rapid shots, I suppose.
It's an okay card against Rapid Shot. I think that a lot of Mouche's early problems in the round robin might have been due to sideboarding choices. Like, these Islands choices are definitely not being particularly great for him, and they're certainly going to hurt if IlyaK continues to just pressure with attacks and assembly lines and making a lot of tokens.
Yeah, lucky for Mouche, IlyaK doesn't have a particularly threatening hand right now and keeps drawing a lot of power. Plays a
Uh,
Sand, the Guardian with, or not the Guardian, sorry, the Shadowlands Guide with nothing to pick up, just as a blink 3/1.
here is that Mouche has built a hand where he actually has all of the influence he needs to play all of the cards that he wants to play in the late game. If he gets that crystallize out early, that's going to be very helpful against IlyaK. So he's going to be able to sort of answer this board of threats without taking too much damage. He's got the protect, so he gets to save the awakened student for at least one turn.
At least one turn. Though IlyaK does have a second torch backup, so he's going to be able to take that out if he chooses to go for it. Oh, and the suffocate.
So a very solid option here. So we see 5 damage there, and Mouche is probably going to have to crystallize defensively. That will clear 5 damage off the board, but it won't leave IlyaK with a lot going into the next set of cards. He's actually pulling a lot of power here.
Yeah, Mouche is in a tough spot. If I'm Mouche, I do go for the crystallize, but I know that is scary. If IlyaK is holding back assembly lines or a whole bunch of other units, but yeah, I like that he goes for it, and it looks like it's going to work out for him pretty well here.
Jack is definitely a pretty scary card. Mouche drawing nothing but power at the moment. He needs to pick up scouting parties. He needs to pick up crystallizes. He needs to pick up Sandstorm Titans if he can find them. But basically, any sort of answer that he can pick up is going to be very, very good for him here. And at the moment, he's got basically nothing going on.
Yeah, IlyaK getting lucky with drawing 2 units off the top in a row, while Mouche is just only hitting power. I don't think it's quite the game for Mouche just yet, but he's definitely on the back foot here.
Sandstorm Titan is going to be a very solid card here. The only answer for it in IlyaK's deck is going to be Annihilate. And if it's Rapid Shot, Mouche actually has the double Islands choices here. And this is the situation where the Islands choices are actually just great. He gets to kill the Pyro Knights. He gets to kill anything that has a Rapid Shot on it. And he can Humbug Swarm this turn and create a bunch of blockers, which I actually really like that. It's a very silly card in the side, but it helps him out here. And it's going to be reasonable against tokens.
I actually like putting the Humbug Swarm in there. It is a little bit slow, but not only can it close out the game for him really well, but it does kill pretty much all of the units in IlyaK's deck, with most of them being 1 toughness units. I imagine that he plays the Humbug Swarm, the power, and then passes and holds back Island's Choice, but I can see that he's tanking a little bit on attacking with the Sandstorm Titan, though I'm not sure if that's the best choice for him.
Consideration that might be going on here is whether or not Mouche wants to Island's Choice the Pyro Knight and then save the other Island's Choice for a Rapid Shot. Like, he knows that IlyaK is going to be doing one thing and one thing only, which is attacking all in basically every turn. So if he can prevent a Rapid Shot from killing a Sandstorm Titan, that Sandstorm Titan is still the card that's winning him the game.
Yes. IlyaK opts for the A space, and he's going to lose the Pyro Knight to the Island's Choice. But yeah, I think you're right about holding back that second one for the Rapid Shot. That's the line that he ends up taking here.
A bad line. He gets the Humbug Swarm next turn, and then he prevents all but 2 of the damage. The Rapid Shot was one of IlyaK's best outs against Titan, and without it, I think he's only got a Ruthless Stranger on board. Mouche is now in recovery and capable of taking a game off of IlyaK.
Yeah, I think Mouche is actually in control of the game at this point. IlyaK is going to need a lot of really good draws to get out of it at this point, like several assembly lines and other things to get past this huge board.
I kind of like this Humbug Swarm here now that he has the ability to basically just chump block the 1/2. He doesn't care about Rapid Shot anymore. He's just going to throw things in front of it. The Pyro Knight is an issue, but it's not the end of the world for him. He's got Island's Choice, so he's not particularly worried about it.
Yeah.
Attack here, that'll leave him with 3 sort of 1/1 blockers, but I think Sandstorm Titan is still his best defense. So it's kind of hard to say whether he wants to go for it. IlyaK lets it through. Yeah. IlyaK really ever wants to block the Sandstorm Titan, and he's not worried about the second Island's Choice, because why would Mouche have a second Island's Choice? But there it is.
Maybe that was his plan all along.
The defend the Sandstorm Titan plan, and it's not a bad one. He
He
actually gets to throw the Island's Choice here.
Okay, so he's checking for rapid shots, sees that there isn't one, and then just goes ahead and shoots it down. Ilya picking up another Pyro Knight.
That is pretty rough. At this point, Mouche will have to basically Desert Marshal to sort of take the overwhelm off the Pyro Knight. However, he's pushing in for enough damage that it's going to be pretty scary at this point.
Yeah, I think that's actually his best bet, is just to silence it and then just be able to chump it and then slowly walk in the final points of damage with the Humbugs and the Sandstorm Titan.
Yeah, as long as he's not worried about the overwhelm damage, I think he's fine. Second, the Sandstorm Titan is a really good card for him here. Ilya not attacking at all, trying to defend his life total. Once the Stone Scar deck starts blocking, you know it's in trouble. And I think that Mouche is going to take this game, take the 4, and put Ilya in a position that is going to be really hard to come back from in the round-robin bracket.
Oh, and he actually opts to silence his own Sandstorm Titan to let his Humbugs get through in the air, knowing that he's going to follow it up with the Sandstorm Titan.
I don't love this play. Like, I'm not sure that it gives you a lot of benefit to just keep the Humbugs, and now he's vulnerable to annihilate a Rapid Shot.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he realized that his second Sandstorm Titan was going to just reground his units. It's not going to matter for him at this point, but that would have made him a little bit vulnerable to a Rapid Shot from the Pyro Knight. So probably a little bit of a misplay from Mouche, but I think he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, losing an Endurance on the Sandstorm Titan is really, really bad for Mouche here, and it means that he can't be quite as aggressive as he wants to be. Like, I think he can attack here without any issues because he's got 5, 5, and 5, so a really tricky situation. Means that Ilya can kill one of the smaller units, chump block the 2 5/5s. Not gonna save him.
Yeah, so, I think unless Ilya has tricks in hand, which we know that he only has that one torch, and even that is not going to be enough. The Ace Base is going to be able to take him out because he's going to have to chump block both the Titans, and then the damage from the deaths of the Interrogator is going to be enough to finish out the game.
Which Ilya doesn't die here, so that will be Mouche taking his 4th game, and Ilya going down, I believe, 0-4.
Yep.
All right.
That was a very good comeback by Mouche.
Yeah, so looking pretty good for Mouche there. I think there were some questionable plays, but his deck was perfectly capable of taking down like the super hyper aggro. So that's another round lost for Ilya, and we'll see if he's going to have a chance at advancing. He's going to need to win basically every game after this one in order to make it.
Yeah, things are not looking good for Ilya right now. Rally Queen not rolling as high as maybe he would have hoped. But yeah, and Mouche, I have to say that's quite a testament to how resilient some of the decks are, even with the power issues on TJP. You know, Rally Queen is one of those decks that it does, without obliterates, you do make yourself just a little bit vulnerable to not being able to close out the game, and that's exactly what we saw there. So a little bit of a rough pickup.
You get high rolled. You get high rolled.
You get high rolled. I do believe that we have either the bracket coming up soon, or yeah, I don't believe there's any backup matches. So do we have the bracket ready for the screen?
Yeah, our bracket for today is looking pretty solid. Our top 4 players at the moment are Mouche, who has played 4 and won 4. Rhino and Unearthly both have 2 1s at the moment, so they've both actually gotten a reasonable amount of stuff going on. Hopefully they'll be trying to get that last round finished before everyone. Well, yeah, like they have a potential to go 3-1 here. And Toth also sitting on a 2-2 record, so looking pretty well set at the moment. Everyone has a bye, so some people have different amounts of matches played, or yeah, like everyone. So like some people have a different amount of matches played than others. So we will see Rhino with the 2-1 and Unearthly with the 2-1, Toth with a 2-2 record, Angry Chicken also with 2 wins, and Lights Out with 2 wins. The players who are most in danger of going down are Roland, Hythar, and Ilya with his 0-4. Overall, it's looking like a pretty rough series for Ilya, and he may not advance to the top 8 tomorrow. Next day.
Yes, yes, tomorrow. Though, to be fair, we do have this is a 9-round round robin. So including the buys, which are not recorded into the scores here. Mouche has four actual wins, for example. The buys do not count towards their wins and losses. Things can change up a lot from here on out, just because we do have a whole another 5 rounds for things to change.
Indeed, and the people with the buys are going to have like the buys do not count as wins, so it's going to be a little bit easier for them to sort of like happen to get a couple more games in. I think Mouche is definitely the favorite for the top 8, though. He's almost certain to make it at this point.
Yeah, as long as he takes, I mean, even just one more game, I think that almost guarantees that he's going to remain in the top 4 and advance to day 4, which is really quite a comeback.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. For us for right now, folks, we will be back after a short break with round 5 of the Eternal Tournament Series. Don't go anywhere.